It might be a bit too early to suggest triumphantly that Marvel is back after a few underwhelming additions to the franchise, but the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer has certainly spiked our hopes. This much-awaited project has been under the wraps for a very long time, and finally, the trailer gives a rough idea of what you can expect in this movie. From the presence of Cassandra Nova as the overarching villain, and the return of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, everything about the movie seems to be promising. In this video, we'll take a quick look at all the mutants that have been confirmed from their presence in the trailer, and we'll give you a little context about them before you head into the theaters. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. Now, this is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Wolverine. This one's rather obvious, but surely we have to spare a few words for Wolverine, who's back in a familiar avatar as Marvel brings back its favorite frenemies. Wolverine and Deadpool fight like hell, but they also have to team up for a greater cause, and it'll be a laugh riot as the two conflicting characters work and fight together. Wolverine needs no introduction as one of the most badass members of the X-Men, and the power of his incredible strength, adamantium claws, and healing abilities. However, the comic book fans are freaking out because a few hints have been dropped in the trailer that suggest the possibility of the Old Man Logan story being explored in the movie. One of the scenes in the trailer reveals that Cassandra Nova's base is actually the skull of the giant version of Ant-Man, and this is a direct reference to one of the moments from the comic book storyline Old Man Logan, where Ant-Man's skeletal remains can be seen. In Old Man Logan, Mysterio manipulates him to the point that he slaughters his fellow X-Men, and given the presence of Cassandra Nova in the movie, she might be the one to manipulate him this time and try to use him to kill her enemies. Of course, Wolverine can't be influenced and controlled that easily, and you can expect a solid fight back once he teams up with Deadpool for the mission to fix the universe that has probably been shattered because of Wolverine's decisions. We have to admit that it's still too early to make decisive statements, and the whole thing might just be a loving reference to the comic books and, well, nothing more. Yukio hasn't traditionally been seen as a mutant in the comic books, but when she first appeared in Deadpool 2, played by Shiori Kutsuna, it was quite evident that she possessed mutant superpowers. This version of Yukio has the ability to foresee the death of others, and she was adopted as a child by the Yoshida family to serve as a companion to Mariko Yoshida. In the comics, she's portrayed as a Japanese ninja who acts as a supporting character of the X-Men, but the movies have given a lot more importance to her character. She's the girlfriend of Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and the two helped Colossus in defeating Juggernaut in a memorable encounter in Deadpool 2. Expect her death sense to come in handy in the upcoming movie, and given her fun-loving nature, we believe that she'll stick alongside our dysfunctional anti-heroes as they take on Cassandra Nova. There's also gonna be a lot of fun banter between her and Deadpool, given their adorable bond, and if anything were to happen to her in the movie, expect Deadpool to go berserk for revenge.
Go get her, Tiger.
Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Just like Deadpool 3 sees the return of Yukio, played by Shiori Kutsuna, Negasonic Teenage Warhead is also back into the mix as Brianna Hildebrand reprises her role. As we've seen earlier, Negasonic Teenage Warhead is a powerful mutant capable of generating nuclear explosions from her body, and together with Yukio, they're a force to reckon with. Both Yukio and Negasonic were seen in the mid-credits of the Deadpool sequel, where they were working on the time travel device of Cable in order to help Deadpool go back in time and stop the killing of his lady love, Vanessa. While her exact roles in Deadpool and Wolverine are up for speculation, expect her to be a strong ally for Deadpool as she works alongside Yukio to aid his mission with Wolverine. Negasonic Teenage Warhead is a powerful mutant, and these can come in handy because Deadpool is now up against the near-invincible Cassandra Nova and her sinister plans. Cassandra Nova. You can't have two of the most badass and charismatic anti-heroes teaming up without an equally impressive villain, and Cassandra Nova is just what the movie needs. For those who don't know, Cassandra Nova is the evil counterpart of Professor Charles Xavier, and her life began at the same time as him. She was initially conceived without a body, but she improvised one of Xavier's DNA to create her own body. You could say that she's his evil twin, and she can access the full spectrum of Xavier's genome, which gives her all of his powers. Her psychic abilities, including her telepathic and telekinesis, are second to none, which makes her a dreaded adversary for the X-Men. From the looks of it, Cassandra Nova has laid waste to many universes, including the one that Wolverine came from, and Deadpool wants to take his help to reset things back in order. Of course, things are easier said than done because the brief glimpse of Cassandra Nova shows us just how powerful she is. She almost toys with the likes of Wolverine and Deadpool, and from the looks of it, she also has some powerful subordinates backing her and fighting for her. She dodges and deflects Wolverine's deadly claws merely with her psychic powers without breaking a sweat, and Emma Corrin seems to have absolutely owned the role. Expect to see a lot of her mind control controlling and universe-manipulating powers, and Deadpool and Wolverine will have to give everything to even have a chance of overpowering her. Lady Deathstrike. The trailers confirmed the presence of Lady Deathstrike, who's another prolific mutant introduced in the mix. She even has adamantium claws extending from her fingertips in the scene, and zooming in on the screenshot clearly reveals her identity. Lady Deathstrike, aka Yuriko Oyama, was experimented on, and William Stryker used his mind control serum to make her serve him loyally. Previously, Lady Deathstrike, played by Kelly Hu, appeared in the live-action movie X-Men United. Here, she was one of the brainwashed subordinates to William Stryker, and Wolverine found it extremely challenging to fight her because of her incredible healing powers and the adamantium-coated claws on each hand. Finally, he managed to defeat her after injecting her with pure liquid adamantium. And from the looks of it, she's likely going to be one of Cassandra Nova's bodyguards in the movie. The trailer shows her briefly in front of the skull of the dead Ant-Man, who's died in his giant form, and it seems to be a lair of Cassandra Nova. It'll not be surprising if we find out that she's been using her telepathic and telekinetic abilities to manipulate less powerful mutants like Lady Deathstrike, and she might have been pulled from her home universe by Cassandra Nova. Azazel. Azazel was a member of the Hellfire Club, and then he joined the Brotherhood of Mutants to become one of the constant enemies that the X-Men had to deal with. He was loyal to Sebastian Shaw, and he's always been shown as someone who was dangerous and merciless when it came to his purpose of wiping out humans. His teleportation powers and superhuman agility and reflexes made him a tricky opponent, and we expect nothing less in the upcoming movie. Just like Lady Deathstrike, Azazel also seems to be a henchman for Cassandra Nova, and there's a good chance that he's been pulled from his home universe as well. Since Azazel and Deathstrike are from different eras in the timeline, it's quite likely that currently they're simply being mind-controlled or manipulated by Cassandra Nova to fuel her bigger game. We have to admit that things don't look too promising for Lady Deathstrike or Azazel, because they can be killed by the likes of Wolverine and Deadpool, and even their master Cassandra Nova can eliminate them in the wink of an eye. Pyro. Pyro is another one of the old-timers who's been spotted in the trailer of the upcoming movie. He's a mutant who can control fire, although he can't generate his own. We saw a lot of his pyrokinetic abilities in the movie X-Men, where he tried to impress Rogue with his powers. However, the fireball that he generated was frozen by Bobby Drake, and his appearance in the movie was as brief as his importance in this scene. Later, we saw him in X2 X-Men United, where he had a much bigger role, which was also the case in X-Men The Last Stand. In the trailer, Pyro, played by Aaron Stanford, is clearly visible, and the character has been brought back after almost 2 decades. It seems like he's got a new costume, and although nothing about his role has been revealed, it's safe to assume that Pyro will see a lot of action this time around. There are 2 very different versions of Pyro, one from the X-Men live-action movies and one from the comics. We expect the movie version to be reintroduced in the upcoming film, and you can keep the comic book lore aside for this one. Dogpool. There are endless versions of Deadpool out there, and one of the most hilarious versions of him is Dogpool, a canine weirdo. Animal versions of popular superheroes are not unheard of. Dogpool continues the tradition. He hails from Earth 103173 and is known as Wilson, just like his Earth 616 counterpart. He was a test subject for a brand and ended up gaining supreme healing powers as a result. The experiments also left him horribly disfigured, but even after the poor dog tried to take his life by jumping in front of a vehicle, he healed instantly and failed to die. He joined a circus and became popular as the death-defying hound. Finally, Deadpool from Earth 616 came to this world and recruited the services of Dogpool for a mission. In the comic books, Dogpool died heroically while trying to save the Earth 616 version, and we'd love it if the upcoming movie skips this bit because, well, who on Earth wants to watch a dog die? Instead, it'll be fun to witness some adorable interactions between Deadpool and Dogpool in the middle of all the chaos and action. Callisto. She was once a young and beautiful mutant, but she found out about the tragedies of mutant life when her face was left disfigured and she was blinded in one eye. She decided to give up on such a society and chose to join a group of outcast mutants hiding in tunnels. These mutants were the Morlocks, and with time the Morlocks grew closer with the X-Men, even assisting each other. It's been announced that Callisto will be a part of Deadpool and Wolverine, and it's an extremely exciting prospect because we haven't seen much of her in the live-action universe prior to this. She featured in minor roles in X-Men The Last Stand and X-Men Evolution, but we expect more from her in the upcoming movie. It's quite likely that she'll provide some valuable assistance for the 2 anti-heroes, but given the presence of Cassandra Nova, just about anyone can be manipulated and turned against them. Toad. Toad is one of the most bizarre mutants that you'll come across, and he has the ability to leap great distances and extend his tongue up to 13 feet. He also spits some kind of slime, and his first introduction in the live-action franchise was in the original X-Men timeline. He's been portrayed as a fearless and arrogant character who can get a bit too cocky at times. His banter with Sabretooth is always enjoyable, and it seems like more of this may be on the cards for the upcoming movie as well. It's been 24 years since we saw the last of Toad in the movie X-Men, and the brief glimpse in the trailer hints at his presence yet again, standing beside beside the likes of Lady Deathstrike and Azazel. Also, the hidden shots from the sets revealed the presence of Toad, played by Ray Park, who reprises his role after all these years. He was also seen alongside Sabretooth on the sets, which means that you can expect this uncanny mutant to be back in action. Sabretooth, aka Victor Creed, is one of the most infamous enemies encountered by Wolverine, and this sadistic serial killer has been empowered by Weapon X just like his arch-nemesis, Wolverine. He possesses several superhuman abilities, such as his superhuman senses, sharp fangs and claws, and a unique healing ability. Previously, he appeared in the original X-Men live-action movie played by Tyler Mane, and later by Liev Schreiber in X-Men Origins Wolverine. While he hasn't been seen in the official trailer, the presence of Sabretooth in the upcoming Deadpool and Wolverine movie is all but confirmed. Leaked photos from the sets have confirmed the presence of Tyler Mane, who played the role in Fox's first X-Men movie. There's not any official confirmation about the role, but reports suggest that Sabretooth will be beheaded by Wolverine in an epic encounter that'll mark another memorable face-off between these two sworn enemies. Starfish, or Glob Herman, just like the name suggests. Starfish is a mutant who can regenerate his body parts almost instantly. He was seen in the movie X-Men The Last Stand. Many fans claim to have spotted him in the trailer of Deadpool and Wolverine. Previously, the story arc of Starfish saw him become a member of the Brotherhood of Mutants after he was against the mutant cure that was developed. Wolverine had a tough time defeating Starfish because his arms and limbs kept growing back every time he chopped them off with his adamantium claws. However, Starfish fell to his death, or at least what seemed like his death, when Wolverine hit him way too powerfully in the groin region. Do tell us in the comments below how excited you are about the upcoming Deadpool and Wolverine. We'd also love to hear from you about your thoughts on the appearances of these incredible mutants and their potential roles in the movie. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.